Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth podcast. I'm Anish Gupta.
And I'm Luke Rosenthal.
So we got Luke back again. Obviously, he did the Packers episode with us a few weeks ago, and that was before the season started. And now we're doing this Sunday night after the Packers, I'd say, pretty handedly beat the Vikings today.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, Luke, I'll just give it to you. The floor is yours, man. Talk about the game. Give us a recap.
So first off, I'm a bad Packers fan. I picked the Vikings to win this one just because it's week one. You don't know how teams are going to play. I know they usually don't play well at Minnesota, especially in US Bank Stadium, obviously last year being the outlier. But I was not expecting a 43-point bomb coming from the Packers today. I know that the Vikings have young DBs there. I thought Davante Adams was going to go off, but I was not expecting a 4-touchdown game out of Aaron Rodgers to start off the season. So yeah, I was ecstatic the entire game. Defensively, we have some things to work on. You got a bunch of injuries there, D-line and O-line. So yeah, I'm just happy that football's back, man. Honestly,
Dude, I kid you not. I woke up at 4 a.m. today, and I was just like, "Damn, we're getting football back!" And then I just went back to sleep, and I was like, "Dude, I can't believe it." Obviously, it didn't end up great for me, and we're gonna do a recap with the guys. With Jack and Sugar, but oh my God, I mean, 38-6. We'll talk about that later, but that was so bad for me. But going back to the Packers game, I just think the main takeaway I took from it, because obviously I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched a lot of the highlights, but I didn't watch most of it in real time. But oh my God, I got to say, Aaron Rodgers, again, he didn't show any signs of decline and no pressure. I thought that was the biggest takeaway. He didn't get sacked once. Right, I think the person who got it's Ogundebo. I don't even know how to say his name, but he's the only guy. Yannick was literally a non-factor, and you could see the loss of Danielle Hunter. You could see it there because Aaron Rodgers got sacked 12 times in the last 3 games he's played in US Bank Stadium, and for him to get literally no pressure, just standing in the pocket, I mean, that's just great. I mean, you see what he's able to do, right?
Yeah, the interesting about that thing is they had a bunch of injuries on their O-line today, specifically right tackle, left guard, and right guard. They had people moving all over the place. They had Elton Jenkins kick out to the right side, right tackle. Then they had Lucas Patrick get injured, so they brought in their rookie John Runyon. They had everybody moving everywhere. So it was really surprising, especially against a pretty good Vikings D-line. Obviously, they don't have Danielle Hunter, but still – it's
you gotta give him credit. Exactly. Yeah. I think Jenkins. It just shows how versatile he is, though. I mean, like that dude is a stud. I remember him coming out. I think it was the first round too, late first round though, and he did really
second round.
Second round. My bad. But he did really good. Oh, here's why I mixed it up because we did a redraft of the 2019 draft, and I think I had him going 7th overall because I thought he did really well last year. But again, Elton Jenkins was great for the Packers. But we got to talk about this defense. You said they've got to work on some things, but Jair Alexander comes out right away, 4 tackles, a pick, and that safety. I mean, talk about Jair. What do you think?
So for a couple of years now, I've been waiting for Jair Alexander to have that star game. He was always really good, especially in coverage. He's always that sort of in-your-face defensive back that you want on your team. But he never really had that, that superstar moment game. I think this was it for him. Obviously, he had the sack for safety in the first quarter, and then second quarter. I mean, maybe I don't remember. And then he had the interception right before the first half ended. He played outstanding. He did give up a few touchdowns, specifically to Adam Thielen, a really good game. So they're looking good, man. They really are.
I mean, and also you got to talk about this Vikings corners. Like everyone knew that was a problem going in because I think the oldest one is 24, and you could just see. I mean, Davante Adams again. I don't know if I told you this, but I was arguing with my friend Jack Evans and Adams. He took Evans. I said Adams looking pretty good on that pick right now with Davante Adams. I think he's the 4th best receiver in this league. Honestly, he could be creeping into that top 3 if he continues to play like this. I mean,
exactly.
He was going crazy. 14 catches. I think obviously him and DeAndre Hopkins both had a really good game. But it just shows how the Vikings, again, with their corners, too young. It's just not enough experience. That was my take, too. The reason why I picked the Packers over the Vikings this week was, 1, Hunter wasn't playing, and 2, I just think the Packers had a more experienced system, whereas the Vikings didn't have Stefanski, who was their play caller. Obviously, Kubiak is good, but it's a new system. You have to adapt. And week 1 is – I hate to say it, but it is kind of the adapting game for most teams. We see it with guys with new coaches. That's why I picked like the Raiders over the Panthers. I just thought while the Panthers have talent, it's just not their system wasn't fully integrated yet. And then again, do you think that Davante Adams can sustain this production though?
I think that he definitely could, especially going in next week against Detroit. Their secondary is a little bit banged up. They don't have their first-round pick, Jeff Okudah.
Yeah.
So, obviously, if he has a good week next week, you just get the ball rolling. You keep going week after week. Yeah, he has the skill to do it. One of the best route runners in the entire league. I expect him to have be top 5 in receptions. I mean, realistically, he is Aaron Rodgers' top receiver and really his only threat. I mean, they do have Allen Lazard and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who had a bunch of drops today. Had a crazy – I don't know if you saw the highlights, but, man, he had the biggest, on and off game.
Because he had some insane catches, too, to end the first half. Remember that one?
Yeah. It was like catch, drop, and then big catch. It was insane. But yeah, I think Devontae could definitely sustain this, barring any injury, of course, like we saw last year with his toe injury that kept him out for a while. Yeah. Hopefully nothing like that happens because I don't want to have to see another, season throwing to Allen Lazard and Marquez Valdes-Scantling as your number 1 and 2. Exactly. I don't think that's going to work out. But yeah, he looked really good today. Aaron Rodgers looked really good today. And I think, let me just say this. I think we need to start giving Matt LaFleur some more credit. He's 14-4 as a head coach, and he hasn't lost a divisional game since coming to Green Bay. And Green Bay has never won in US Bank Stadium before him arriving there. Now they're 2-0. Obviously, if there was a crowd, it probably would have been different. And that's another thing, the crowd. I think that plays a big factor. And I think it gives Aaron Rodgers a really big edge over most teams because of his cadence and his voice.
Exactly. That's a great point. I was going to say the exact same thing because these experienced quarterbacks, you saw with Drew Brees today too. You give them less crowd noise, less interruptions. You see how they can audibles on the line of scrimmage. You see it now, even with Patrick Mahomes and to some extent, I saw Baker doing it today because I watched the Browns. Just less fans equals more verbal calls. So, for example, when Lamar Jackson was running, he literally yelled out for J.K. Dobbins to block for him. You can do that now without fans. So that gives experienced quarterbacks, especially out of the pocket when things collapse too, just extra time to tell your players, hey, do this, do that. And for quarterbacks, that's such a big thing.
Yeah, you saw it all around the league today. I remember the first play of the Dallas Rams game tonight, that they were jumping off sides. I think we're going to see a lot of that this season, at least until fans are allowed back in stadiums, which I'm guessing at some point there will be.
Hopefully.
I hope so. I know a lot of teams are doing the whole 2 home games thing without fans, and then they're going to proceed from there. Hopefully we'll be able to see fans in Lambeau and everywhere else again. But, yeah, it was definitely interesting. And I think, it's kind of weird having fans in one stadium and then not in the other. We saw that today in Jacksonville, where there were fans there, whatever the capacity was. You saw that in Kansas City as well. It's definitely going to play a huge factor, and it will result in some wins and losses, I think, for some teams.
Exactly. California teams where I'm from, right? The smoke, that's a huge thing going on too. For the air, for example, the Niners had to keep switching running backs. So even if a running back is hot, you might have to take him out due to the air quality. So there's just a lot of environmental factors. Also, the virus, we got to consider that. But
Absolutely.
Again, with this Packers team, right, going back to Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I'm hearing it now, right? Obviously, when you throw 364 yards and 4 touchdowns, people are going to start saying, oh, he could win his 3rd MVP. So what are your thoughts on that? Can he do it?
He definitely can, but I'd like to hold off on that. We just got football back. It's only week 1. We didn't even get to the Monday night games. But if you start off like this, you got to be considered early favorite, if that's even a thing. Hopefully he's going to be able to sustain this. Like I said, next week he's going up against a weak Detroit secondary. Desmond Trufant's their number 1 guy back there, but I don't think he's going to, affect the game very much.
Adams is too fast in his route.
Exactly. But, yeah, he had an outstanding game, 32 for 44, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. And he would have had more completions had Marquez Valdes-Scantling not dropped a couple balls. But and he probably would have had another touchdown too because Marquez was close and dropped a touchdown pass. But, yeah, I think it's a little too early to be saying that. But, obviously, it was a really great week from him. Let's hope he could continue it.
For me, at least, the MVP always has a story to it. So we can always talk about how, Jordan Love was supposed to come in and Aaron Rodgers says, you know what, I'm still the guy. And wins MVP off that. But you know what? I don't know if you saw the episode. Carson Wentz, man, I said he would do really well, and that backfired so bad.
Yeah.
I didn't know his O-line was going to be non-existent. But again, it just shows how unpredictable this award is. I think it again, but it goes with like a leap or a story. There's always a player that has an insane
always a narrative
with it, right? Like Lamar
exactly.
last year had that leap. But I want to touch on this defense a little bit more. Like Christian Kirksey, what did you think about him? Because he did lead you guys in solo tackles, I believe. So what did you think about the pickup from him?
Honestly, he wasn't that big of a factor in this game. You saw that, so for the first half, the Packers had the ball for pretty much like 25 minutes out of the 30 minutes of the first half. So you really didn't get a taste of what the defense was like. The Vikings did score on one drive, but towards the end there, their run defense was just gutted. Obviously, Kenny Clark went out with a groin injury early in the first half. He was out for their game, and they really exploited that. If it wasn't for the Packers offense being so explosive today, they were giving the defense a run for their money. The rush defense is still a problem. It really is. They did nothing to improve it. I don't think it showed that Blake Martinez was not the problem. Everybody thought it was Blake Martinez. Oh, he's unathletic. He can't get it done. No, we have an athletic guy in there now in Christian Kirksey. He's a lot faster, a lot more agile, is a lot better in coverage. He was all right. Like I said, he wasn't that big of a factor in it. But the Packers have just been giving up big play after big play, especially late in garbage time. And you know what? If they don't clean it up, it's going to bite them one day. Especially like I said, if their offense isn't explosive, like it won't be next week. So, yeah.
I think it was a good point how you mentioned going back to Matt LaFleur a little bit, because I know Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. There were talks about it not being on the same page at times last year, but you're right. I mean, if a coach is winning, for me at least, winning matters the most for coaches and quarterbacks. If you're winning, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep it going. And I think you're right. This system with allowing, like, for example, they got carries from Aaron Jones, right? 66 yards and a touchdown. And we've seen the development of him over the course of last year. Like, I think before in a Mike McCarthy system, we just haven't seen Aaron Rodgers, with a good running back. I mean, it was just inconsistent running back play from like James Stark, right?
They had a couple good seasons with Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, that guy too. I mean, it's just, going back, even Ty Montgomery. Those are the guys I can honestly remember. It's just been a lot of inconsistent play. But now we see, I think, in my opinion, a top 10 running back in Aaron Jones. I think he played great. What are your thoughts on like AJ Dillon, Jamal Williams? Do you think this will be a running back by committee, or what do you see from this?
Well, I think predominantly it's going to be the Aaron Jones show again. But I really like the change of one guy, Tyler Ervin. I really like the change of pace in him. He brings a different element of speed to the game. Like I said, really good change of pace. He got in a couple times and was just super fast. Like, it was insane. Nothing like Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon or Jamal Williams could do. And then AJ Dillon played exceptionally well too. Only 2 carries for 14 yards. Didn't get a lot of touches, and he probably won't for the majority of the season. But I think they have 4 really solid change of pace guys. You have the more elusive, bell cow running back sort in Aaron Jones. Then you have more of the receiving type elusive back in Jamal Williams. You got your power back in AJ Dillon, and then you got Tyler Ervin, who's kind of a do-it-all player.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and actually I don't even know if he is considered a running back. He is playing a lot of snaps at wide receiver in training camp. So we'll see with that. But yeah, I really like their I guess four-headed monster backfield, and I really appreciate what we did in the draft. Josiah DeGuara had a good game, blocking and receiving, had a couple catches, and I like how the fans thought that they needed to draft wide receivers because of Aaron Rodgers, and then they did a complete 180. They went away from the narrative that the media portrayed that they needed wide receivers. He went and he drafted Dillon. He drafted Josiah DeGuara, when he drafted a couple O linemen. And you know what? People also were saying that, you got to draft to be better than the 49ers. But like I said in the last episode, Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst drafted to be the 49ers. And I don't think that's what a lot of fans were expecting. And I don't think that's what a lot of fans realize. So yeah, I really like the backfield that they have. It's the best in a while. Jamal Williams has 7 carries. Everybody gets touches, and that's a great thing to see.
I think it's good. You're right. Talking about how they were able to split it up with the offense, and you could see how there wasn't rust with specific players because you were able to split it, especially with a week 1, no preseason type of thing. But the ability for Aaron Rodgers to spread the ball around, same thing with the running back group. I think it just shows why this offense was probably the most efficient one of the day on Sunday. And let's kind of talk about the NFC North because, again, all 4 teams played each other, right? I know you saw the Lions-Bears game. For me, at least, what I said was I think Trubisky plays well against the Lions, and I thought the Bears would finish it off, which is what they did in the fourth quarter, right? They came back. Weird saying Trubisky did this, but again, I think he can bounce back. He can have a bounce back year. So me and Jack have been a little bit high on Trubisky coming into the year. And I think it paid off. But again, that DeAndre Swift catch was, oh, man.
Yeah, that really killed it. I caught that on red zone like last second, and that was tough.
That's just, I'm not the biggest Stafford fan, but again, you got to feel for the guy. What are your after watching that game, or at least seeing a little bit of it, do you think that the Bears or the Lions have a lot to look forward to for the rest of the year?
Let me just say on my TikTok, if you guys don't know, I run a TikTok football fan zone.
Please check it out. I'll leave it in the description. This guy is one of my favorite creators. He does a lot of great content, so please check it out.
Appreciate it. A lot of people have been saying that I've been sleeping on the Lions because their team has just suddenly improved. I just don't see it.
Me neither.
I might be the biggest non-believer in Matt Patricia there is. He just hasn't gotten it done. I still don't know why he's there. He might be a candidate to get fired before the season ends. So I'm not scared of the Lions, especially since they won't have Kenny Golladay. They might not have him next week either. We'll have to see about that. As for their defense, you saw Jamie Collins with a boneheaded play today, get ejected in the first quarter. That was dumb. There's nothing that really scares me about the Lions. And as for the Bears, defensively, obviously they have a top 10, top 5 unit in the league, definitely. But offensively, Mitch Trubisky still doesn't scare me. I'm not in love with their pieces. Obviously, Allen Robinson is a great wide receiver to have as your number one. But I'm not in love with David Montgomery. Tariq Cohen is sort of like I don't even know what to call him, like a specialist type player.
Like a plug-in type thing?
Yeah, a plug-in, I don't know. Comes in weird packages and stuff. Obviously super shifty, but not the type of running back that I think you would really want on the field most of the time. They have Jimmy Graham as one of their tight ends, who actually didn't play bad today. Yeah. Actually surprising as a Packers fan seeing him. But yeah, honestly, nobody in the NFC North really scares me. Obviously, we'll have to see, but Trubisky had a good game. I'll give him that. Led the Bears to the game-winning drive, what turned out to be. So, yeah, but I think the Vikings are definitely their biggest threat in the division, and they got it done today.
Interesting. I think actually the Bears would finish second in the North. I'm high on the Bears a little bit with their defense, especially. Think about it: Akeem Hicks, Khalil Mack, and Robert Quinn. You can't double all of them. So it's a tough choice there. I think Kyle Fuller played great today. I know he didn't have to go up against Kenny Golladay, but I think he played great. Same with Eddie Jackson. But I think you're right with the Lions. I've never been high on them. And Matt Patricia, this is the same dude who would come late to meetings as the head coach. You can't do that. So exactly. I wouldn't be surprised also if he was gone by the end of the year, right? And you see it too. There's a difference between the Belichick tree and the Andy Reid tree, right? With Belichick, again, Matt Patricia doesn't seem to get along with his players or discipline them because really, if Jamie Collins did that with Bill Belichick, I don't know if he's on the roster the next day. It goes to show, players respect Belichick. They're afraid of him. I don't think players respect Matt Patricia. I think people realize, he was a product of Belichick's system or something like that. And we see what Belichick's been able to do with guys not even named Tom Brady. I mean, we just saw Cam Newton had a really efficient game. Yeah. And I think Belichick, it just shows why, in my opinion, he is top 2 coach of all time. I probably would give him the nod for greatest. But again, back to the NFC North, it's just I think the Bears would be the only ones to challenge him. But I still got the Packers winning this division. I had them 11-5 in my record predictions episode. I'm going to stick with that here. I just think there's their experience, right, with their system. Second year under Matt LaFleur is only going to get better, I think, compared to last year. And their defense, again, I think Jair established himself as more of a hybrid corner rather than just a one-dimensional type of guy. He played a lot more tough than last year, and he was known for being physical, like you said. So this is a great sign to look forward to for the Green Bay Packers. Any other comments you want to make on the game or looking forward for the season?
I need to see more play out of their tight end for the Packers. You got Jay Sternberger in there. Josiah DeGuara is more of an H-back sort of guy. And then they have, guys like Robert Tonyan who, gets a catch every once in a while. I'd like to see more out of their tight ends there. Obviously, you're not going to have a 43-point game every single game. So I'm interested to see what it's like next week. Obviously, week 1, like you said, is always an outlier. You always got to take it with a grain of salt because you never really know what teams are like, just from 1 week of play. But yeah, I'm excited that football's back. Thank God. And
we needed it. We did. I think to kind of wrap this one up again, Luke, guys, please check out his TikTok. It's Football Fan Zone. He's one of the best out there. for NFL content. Again, I look to him for a lot of my stuff too. We have a lot of the similar opinions. So if you agree with me, you'll definitely agree with him. Again, thank you for hopping on this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out his link and our links down below in the description. Again, the Packers got a lot to look forward to. Please, hopefully you guys have a lot to look forward to with us coming into the year. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.